Hey guys. So, since to my surprise, a lot of the bonuses were actually in the voice acting room for um for uh for the end of Hanged Man, and there's no notes from vgperson because there was one in the bonus room, and there's no notes for Yuri, at least that have been translated yet, about creating the game. Um, I decided to do a little bit of tarot education with something that was recommended to me by one of my friends who um, does tarot readings. So she is very involved with tarot. She recommended the Rider Waite Tarot. She said it's a very good basic deck, and I couldn't find one in the meantime that spoke to me. I gave it about a year. She said, because if another one speaks to you, go for it. It didn't, so um, another one didn't. So I got the Rider Waite, and I also got the book that talks about the meaning behind the tarot, which is what we're going to be investigating today, is the Tarot of the Hanged Man, and then just my couple of thoughts about Will, and just not a lot, just like the one or two things that we were left kind of with mysteries. So, let me grab the Hanged Man, which is number 12. This book is really awesome, by the way, if you're interested. It's The Ultimate Guide to the Rider Waite Tarot by Johannes Feeberg and Evelyn. It looks like Berger, but it has an umlaut. I got it from Amazon for pretty cheap. So, and it's very detailed and really, really cool. So, since I have, I may or may not have my mouse available, but so this goes into quite a bit of detail. So, without further ado, and I wanted to show this, as you can see, it resembles the main menu of the game very well. So, the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man has a perfectly normal, clear, and unequivocal point of view. His only point of reference is not the earth, not defined in earthly terms. His standpoint is the heavenly, transcendental perspective. So, the basic meaning of the card. The Hanged Man believes what he depends on, and he depends on what he believes, which is a tragedy when it turns out that the belief is superstition. So the essential thing is to examine one's own beliefs. To do this, it is sometimes necessary to stand on one's head. Alternatively, of course, the image can be a pointer to inappropriate passivity, to a person who simply hangs around. The card's meaning of spiritual experience. Please forgive me for my butchering of this. Metanoete, Greek for turn back and change yourselves, a slogan of Francis of Assisi, whose emblem is a T cross. The Hanged Man as a card for the day. Take a good look at the points that your suppositions depend on. The Hanged Man as a prognosis or tendency. One way or another, this is the end of the road. Passion that either bears witness to a great story of suffering or uplifting ardor. The Hanged Man for love and relationships. The head is at the lowest point here, the body above it. This can be an indication of another kind of wisdom which can only be attained when one surrenders oneself. And the Hanged Man for success and happiness. A change of consciousness brings you a completely new perspective on the whole world. And then the game also goes into the 10 most important symbols of every card. So number 1 is the figure's position or pose. The image is based on the Germanic Celtic legend. Both the god Odin and the great magician Merlin each spend days and nights in this position. Shamanic rituals, too, include the process of hanging. The arms and head in a triangle, the legs form a sign of the cross and the inverted 4. Together, the triangle and the cross are the alchemistic sign for fire, sulfur, which is related to the tarot card Wheel of Fortune, i.e. also a fiery situation. Let's see. One is chock full of stuff. Is it? Yeah, okay. So the cross that he's hanging on, the T cross, the Greek letter tau, Latin T, is composed of vertical and horizontal lines like this. The tau cross is also the symbol for the famed Saint Francis of Assisi, who said, "What you seek is that which seeks." Let's see. Negative, it says for this, the horizontal beam limits the development of the vertical one. Passivity or fatalism restricts one's higher potential. Also, T is a sign for break as well as for dead end. Positive. The final stage for development has been reached and has come to a crowning conclusion. The T/Tau cross is the greatest happiness, magnificence, and ultimate feeling. Another symbol is the height. The Hanged Man has a definite point of view, which is based not on the earthly perspective, but on the heavenly one, a surreal world, literally a world above reality. The Hanging. The card warns against many kinds of dependency. It also encourages us to take a break from time to time, chill out, hang around. But first of all, it is an inspiration to depend on what one believes. The Radiant Crown, so the golden halo around his head. He who depends with his whole existence upon that which he considers to be the holy experiences, the highest reaches of spiritual strength. The halo, Latin nimbus, is a symbol for potentiates, enlightened ones, or saints. Sorry if I stumble. This has a lot of hyphenated words because it's crammed in the margins very closely. The cord around the right foot, the one he is hanging from. The right leg equals the conscious side. It is a matter of passion and belief to which we consciously devote ourselves. A warning against the snares of overzealous martyrdom and disabling obsessions. The inversion, so the position of the Hanged Man himself, which is the last symbol. One way or another, we also depend on our beliefs. All the more important that these should not be superstitious or without faith. There is a need for phases of scrutiny in which we turn ourselves and our values upside down. So based on this, a lot of it is very relevant to Will, especially, he believes in what he depends on. Will was depending a lot on Mime, Murdoch, Misery, and Old Billy, and then was very dependent on Pop when Pop came around. And for him to sort of step outside, he needs to, step outside of that room that Pop was talking about, the room that he built for himself. He needs to literally sort of flip his vision of the entire world and acknowledge what he does not want to acknowledge. That being said, there is also kind of the mystery left behind of, is Will, does he have a kind of a leaning towards the supernatural or not? Because there was no man in this, really. The Hanged Man was somebody that he encountered after, again, learning from Katie, who watches a lot of listens, reads a lot of true crime. She's very, very good at it. She's also an expert with human anatomy, so I depend on her for a lot of these references. There was no way that he could have, that the Hanged Man that Will encountered could have actually been alive. So Will was actually actively speaking with a spirit in the first place, and then things continued to haunt him afterwards. It very much reminds me of the Crooked Man, as I mentioned in stream. So I do believe that Will has an inkling, a sixth sense, if you will. And I believe David does to a degree as well, because that encounter with the Crooked Man to David was very real. And like he said in the Boogeyman, I shot something, but I don't think it was human. So I do think it is not Will in Will's head. I think he does have a sixth sense of sorts, and he just needs to kind of adjust that with his life. And I think this was a really big trial for him. I mean, we don't know if what he told David, we don't know if he'll ever tell David, but I'm sure if he tells David, David will believe him. Yeah, so that's my inkling, is that Will does in fact have a kind of a mind for sensing the paranormal, as his brother does. So that's pretty much it. Nothing long-winded, nothing over an hour like the Boogeyman was. I'm doing this straight after my stream, actually, so the thoughts are all fresh in my head. So anything that I've said there, or that I haven't said here, I've said there. And again, I just want to thank you guys for making it this far, and especially for watching these extra little videos. I've had a blast playing this series, and I will play any side stories for this anthology that Yuri comes out with, because she has expressed interest in doing so. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Again, if you're watching this on my YouTube, if you've watched this out of curiosity, if you just clicked on this, you've made it to the end, kind of like what you see. I'm a very casual streamer. I do it for funsies, more with my friends than more for to make a money off of this kind of gig, but I still really enjoy what I do. So if you want to subscribe, please subscribe to me on Twitch at Val's Video Game Valhalla. I also have a Facebook page where I regularly post updates, as well as share stuff from my Twitter, just, what I'm randomly gaming, and I often give updates on Facebook of what I'm doing next. And I would also appreciate a subscribe. I can actually officially change my URL after 100 subscribers, so I would really appreciate that, just to make that string of gobbledygook go away, and hopefully you like what you see here. The Until Dawn and Firewatch playthroughs are from my casual channel, where I do most of my main watching. That was before I decided to really have a stream dump and sort of do streaming more on a regular basis. But those are my playthroughs as well. But please follow me here. A lot of people follow me at Chaos Arcanum after seeing the Until Dawn one, and I'm like, no, please go to the other channel. So, thank you so much for hanging in there with me. And, hey, sorry, unintentional pun. And I will see you guys in another stream. I do plan on doing more of Yuri's, but I really wanted to do the Strange Man anthology, so we'll see what I do next. I'm thinking Paranoiac or Mermaid Swamp, one of the two. So you guys have a great day.